Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, it's David here, and welcome back to another RPG video. Today we're going to talk about something different, something that I've never talked about before on the channel, but certainly will again if you guys are interested in more of these styles of videos. And it's actually some of my personal picks of RPGs that are on Nintendo Switch that are underrated, in my opinion, or that not enough people talk about the Switch version of those games. There is some Switch original titles in there, there is some ports. So I want to go over all the picks that I have and explain why I think you guys should give these games a chance if you have not already. Obviously, underrated, hidden gems, games that no one talks about. There's various ways that you can interpret that, right? So you will disagree with some of my picks as some of these being underrated. I will explain why I picked some of those. Please don't think too much of it. It's a list of RPGs that you should check out if you have not already. If you are new to the channel, you want more RPG content, Atlas, and more games, make sure you check me out. Subscribe to the channel if you want more of this content, and you can also ring the notification bell as well to stay up to date on all content here on the channel. A quick thumbs up if you like the content is always a big help. Now let's get into it. My first pick, or should I say my first two picks, are actually two games that are available on Switch and other platforms called The Caligula Effect and The Caligula Effect 2 from NIS America. Now these games are very interesting. They have an interesting story, they have great gameplay, especially too. They really improved upon the gameplay, which is a turn-based combat system in both versions here. I do want to say though, Caligula Effect 1, which is Overdose, is actually a little rough on the Switch, lots of frame drops and everything, and it was mostly fixed in 2. You don't need to play the first Caligula Effect to play 2. Honestly, if these games look interesting to you, you should probably check out 2 first. 1 is good. Both of these games have amazing soundtracks, like peak soundtrack to be completely honest. The characters are interesting. If you're a fan of the Persona series or the Trails of series, I think you're going to be interested in these games. They have social elements, social interactions. The side content is a little bit boring other than the social interactions between main party members, but the stories in those games are interesting, and most importantly, the gameplay and progression system are very, very fun. So if you have not played the Caligula Effect 1 and 2, which not a lot of people talk about, I reviewed those on the channel. There will be links to all the games that I talked about for reviews. Actually, the ones that I reviewed, they will be in the description. So if you want to check out my reviews for some of my recommendations today, you can do so by checking out the description. Now, the second game that I want to talk about is a game that you probably already heard of, but I'm ready to bet that you have not played it. And it's a game that first was revealed as a crossover between two massive JRPG series, Shin Megami Tensei, an Atlas series, and Fire Emblem, a Nintendo series. Fire Emblem Cross Shin Megami Tensei became Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE, which was a Wii U game, but Tokyo Mirage Sessions got an enhanced port on Nintendo Switch called Encore. And that game I will defend till the end of time. It is not a good SMT Cross Fire Emblem game. It is a fantastic title on its own though. Tokyo Mirage Sessions is probably the best, or it's top 3 combat system of all time for me. Fantastic combat system. You can pull combos with all your party members when exploiting weaknesses. It's very much the turn-based combat system that you find in certain Megami Tensei games called the press turn combat system, but it's expanded upon. It's extremely addictive. The game is grindy, but you don't feel like it's grindy when you're playing it because it's that fun. The story is about idols and everything. It's not for everyone, I'll just say it right away. Again, check out my review if you want to learn more about that. But the soundtrack is good. The characters are interesting enough, regardless of the main protagonist being kind of bland. Again, for the combat alone, if you are a turn-based RPG fan, you will enjoy that game. It's absolutely amazing. Now, if you're looking for something a little more cozy, a little calm and everything, a little bit more calm and cute and everything, maybe you want to introduce your child to RPGs or a friend that has never played RPGs, well, The Cruel King and the Great Hero, which is an NIS America game, is absolutely amazing. I loved it so much. It was given to me for review purposes by NIS early next year, and the Switch version of that game looks amazing. The visual style is kind of like an art book. You flip through pages as you progress through the story. You play as a great hero, and your dad is a cruel king. You have to save him because he was not a cruel king before. He was a great father figure for you. It's a very good game. The side content is fun. It's a simple game, simple turn-based RPG combat system, but just fun and very charming overall. You have companions that you can recruit with different spells and techniques that you can use in battle. It's a fun experience. This is the game that I was looking forward to playing when I had a big day at work. I would come back home, heat a little bit, and then I would lay down in bed and enjoy that game on Switch OLED. It looked so good, and not a lot of people checked out my review, and from the comments in that video, not a lot of people checked out the game itself. So this is definitely probably my favorite pick in terms of a hidden gem on that list for today. So The Cruel King and the Great Hero by NIS America, make sure you check that out. That's a fantastic RPG. Now this one's gonna be controversial because some of y'all are gonna say it's not a hidden gem, it's not underrated, and in a way you're kind of right, but in another way you're not, and let me explain. My pick is a game by Square Enix, by Team Asano, called Triangle Strategy. Triangle Strategy is an HD 2D strategy RPG, or should I say tactical RPG game. It's amazing. The reason why I wanted to talk about it today is because everyone talks about Octopath Traveler. Everyone talks about Octopath Traveler or Live Alive and everything, but I never hear any discourse around Triangle Strategy, and it's a damn shame because I played the Team Asano games, not Octopath 2, but I played 1, and Triangle Strategy has the best story by far. If you are a tactical RPG fan, you're gonna like that because that game is amazing. The choices that you pick when playing through the game are all very important, and you will feel the impact of those choices on the direction for the story. It's peak. The visual style HD 2D is amazing. I loved it so much. The combat is just very, very fun with, again, lots of strategy. Very, very diverse lineup of characters that you can pick from. And yeah, it's just great. I could gush about that game for a long time, but if you played Octopath, if you played tactical RPGs before, FF Tactics and everything, Tactics Ogre, make sure you check out Triangle Strategy because it is a fantastic game. And in regards to the other Team Asano games, it certainly is underrated. No one talks about it in terms of, well, especially versus Octopath 1 and Bravely Default and everything. You should check it out if you have not already. My next pick is a game that is starting to become more popular, but it's been niche for a very long time, and that's Atelier Ryza. The Atelier series is huge. There is a ton of games, very different from one another, but mostly you have the potion mixing and alchemist elements that are in most of the games, and I've always been overwhelmed with these games. Like, there's so many. I don't know where to start. I don't know what game to play. So the reason why I wanted to bring up Atelier Ryza, the first game in the series on Nintendo Switch, is because I've never played an Atelier game before, and I loved Ryza. Ryza is a good game on Nintendo Switch, looks really good, runs well, loading times are fine, and it's a beautiful game. That's why I feel the need to mention it. It's great. You don't have to play it on PS4. If you want to play a portable version, you can get it on Switch. It's great. The combat's fun. Really is kind of like a real-time combat system, not an action. It's kind of turn-based, real-time. It's really, really interesting and fun. Again, kind of like TMS, there's a lot of combos that you can pull, lots of, actually, endless customization options, and a very, very awarding progression system for Ryza. It is a good game, the characters are interesting, and the story left off where I do want to play the second game. I think I'm going to enjoy it for sure. So Atelier Ryza, take it from a newcomer's perspective, great game to start with in the series, easy to get into. The alchemist system, you have to take time to understand it, but once you do, it's very, very fun for sure. The game that I want to talk about is a game from Atlus, again, called Etrian Odyssey. Most precisely, Etrian Odyssey, the Origins Collection on Switch, which is HD remasters of Etrian Odyssey 1, 2, and 3, which are very expensive Nintendo DS games. There is other versions of those games on 3DS, which I have not played, so I cannot give my opinion on those, but I recently beat Etrian Odyssey HD, the first game, and that was my first time playing this series as a huge Atlus fan, which is why I wanted to bring it up here today. I loved my time with Etrian Odyssey 1. I did a bunch of the side content. It's a first-person dungeon crawler. It has a very big focus and emphasis on dungeon crawling, so if you're not into that and first-person dungeon crawling, it's probably not for you. You have map creation elements though. Combat is very fun and good. The character designs are interesting, very unique from one another, both for the characters that you can pick from to build your party and also the enemies. You can pick and choose which class you want your characters to have, so strategy options are endless at this point. Very solid title. It was too expensive at launch, but at this point you can get it on sale. It's always on sale for very cheap, and these games are good. You should give them a chance if you're interested, that is for sure. The next 3 games that I want to talk about today are on this list because I feel they need to be on this list. That being said, all 3 of them are good games, fun games, but they are very crusty in terms of technical performance and issues, right? They are crusty, not because the Switch can't run them, because you'll see they're simple, very basic games. They're not optimized properly. That being said, I played and beat all of them, reviewed 2 of them, and they are still good games. So let me start straight up with a game called The Lost Child, which was again published by NIS America, kind of like Etrian Odyssey and older Shin Megami Tensei titles. It is a first-person dungeon crawler. There's demons, there's a lot of enemy variety, lots of characters. The story was alright, felt a little bit too felt like they tried a little too hard for me, but again, the gameplay was super fun, the dungeon crawling was addictive, and the combat was really good. Trying to get the best demons for your party was very, very cool. So The Lost Child was fun. It's a PS Vita game that was ported to Switch. And again, it's really crusty. Loading times are long for no reason. But if you can stand those elements, maybe it's not the game for you. If you can stand those, though, I would recommend checking it out because The Lost Child is a good game. Another game that I want to bring up is another game from NIS America. Lots of bangers from NIS America on Nintendo Switch. It's a game that I reviewed last year called Monarch. And obviously, Monarch, lots of controversy around that game. It is made by some of the development team that worked on Shin Megami Tensei If. And it shows. It's in a high school setting, very, very dark, very, very somber story and setting. The premise itself is dark. You recruit kind of like demon figures and your party members. It's a tactical RPG. It's very fun. The combat is super fun, super dope. Lots of options in terms of progression, addictive gameplay, lots of strategy option. You have to think when playing that game because it's a very hard game. Let me say that. And I'm not only talking about the combat, the puzzles in Monarch are very rough as well. The music was good. But again, in terms of performance, it's really crusty. I don't know if it's better on PlayStation 4, 5, and PC. It could be, but from my experience, putting around 40 hours into that game on Nintendo Switch, it's good. It's crusty in terms of performance, and let me just say it. I'm not someone who's too big into performance. I can stand frame drops. I can stand a lower resolution. I own a PlayStation 5 and a Series X and a very good PC, and I mostly play on Switch, even though some of these games are also available on other platforms because of that portable aspect. So I might not be a reference, but again, the last 2 games that I mentioned are crusty. Regardless of that, I had a lot of fun with them. Not enough people talk about them, but they should. Now, this other game that I want to mention is certainly an RPG icon, an RPG legend and everything, and you're gonna say, why the hell are you bringing up this game here in this video for underrated RPGs? It's because it's a game that is 20-year-old, and when it came out, it was legendary, but not a lot of people outside of the main community around that franchise talks about that game, and that is Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne, which got a HD remastered version on Switch, which features a lot of content. It's a good game. It does not do much to improve upon the PS2 version, which is why I put it in the crusty category. There is frame drops, nothing too major. The loading times are fine. The visuals are good. The game looks good. But again, frame drops, and that's a bummer for a lot of people. Atlus should have done more for that RPG because it's a very good game. It introduced the press turn combat system to Shin Megami Tensei, which is my favorite combat system in all RPGs. Banger game. I'm sure you've heard of Nocturne before, but I'm sure a lot of you guys listening have not played Nocturne, and you guys should check it out on Switch. It's a great game regardless of the little issues. Great story, fantastic dungeon crawling and exploration in third person this time. Great character variety. Of course, it's SMT, so you recruit demons, you fuse demons, and you improve your demi-fiend. It's really good. It's a very fantastic game. I reviewed it as well, the Switch version on the channel, so make sure you check that out. So those are my recommendations for today. Tokyo Mirage Session Sharp FE, the Caligula Effect Overdose, the Caligula Effect 2, the Cruel King and the Great Hero, Etrian Odyssey, Origins Collections, Triangle Strategy, Atelier Ryza, The Lost Child, Monarch, and SMT3 Nocturne HD. So let me know what you guys think of this list. There is so much more in terms of underrated RPGs on Switch. Please don't argue with me about if these games are underrated or not. It's subjective at the end of the day, and to me, they are. Not enough people talk about these games. They are solid regardless of what people say. So please check them out if you have not already, and don't forget to give me a comment and let me know if you would like me to do more of these lists. It can be for other systems, RPGs, best RPG on a certain system, or underrated on a certain system, best turn-based RPG, best action RPGs. I'm certainly willing to do anything for you guys. As long as you guys are interested, I'll tune in. Hey, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. You have a great day. Bye.